If, I said if, Arsenal win the league this season, a lot will be said about their brilliant, free-flowing, attacking football. Saka's blossoming superstardom, Ødegaard between the lines, Jesus' impact, Martinelli's improvement. But there's one particular, and I think underrated tactic, that has been absolutely key to Arsenal this season. It might not be as exciting or memorable as Jorginho bouncing one in off Emi Martinez's head in the 92nd minute, but it is just as important. Pressing. There are many different types of press, gegenpress or counterpress, ball-oriented press and more, which all have their own pros and cons. But Arsenal have found success this season with a variable, dependable, largely man-for-man press. Jurgen Klopp once said that the gegenpress is the best playmaker in the world. But for Arsenal, I'd argue it's been their most effective way of winning the ball back, and therefore facilitating the dominant displays that we've seen. Let's see it in action. But before we do that, I just need 30 seconds of your time to talk to you about something. As I've said before, I don't accept ad campaigns unless I like and use what I'm talking about, and I do like and I do use the OneFootball app. It's genuinely a brilliant app that covers football internationally and domestically in incomparable detail. For live scores, stats, news, updates and more, OneFootball is the only app you need to follow football all around the world, and you can even stream certain games and leagues on the app totally for free. The best feature to me is the aggregator of news about your club, so you don't have to go looking around the internet looking for transfer news or whatever. It's all there in one feed on your phone. It's really useful. During this title race, watch what's left of Pep Guardiola's hair fall out live on the OneFootball app. Download the app for free from the link in the description. OneFootball. No one gets you closer. Situation after situation, you see Arsenal's press working. They go man for man, game after game, always looking for the least favourable situation for the opposition to be put in, forcing them into long balls, long throws, backwards or towards lower quality players, where Arsenal can trigger a more intense press, often on the goalkeeper. In this situation, City are marked up, man for man, so Ake has no choice but to go back to Ederson. Ederson plays it long, Saliba wins the header, and Tomiyasu plays it back to Ramsdale. Simple. What does he do? In this situation, Arsenal are blocking De Gea's route into midfield and covering all of his short options. The keeper knocks it long, Gabriel wins it, Saliba sweeps up. And in this situation, Martinez is forced long, the Villa player is pushed off the ball by Gabriel, and Arsenal play forward with Xhaka. It's simple, but it's so effective. And there's a reason more teams can't do it, which we'll get to. An important definition before we continue. PPDA, if you're unfamiliar, is passes per defensive action, i.e. how many times the opponent passes the ball on average before a team makes a defensive action to try and win the ball back. If that number is lower, you're pressing more intensely, allowing less time on the ball for your opponent. Arsenal's high possession stats mean they spend far more time on the ball, and their young squad means their press intensity can be higher with more energetic, younger legs. In fact, in their last 9 league games, including the likes of United, Newcastle and City, Arsenal have had a lower PPDA than all of their opponents. You have to go back to Brighton on New Year's Eve to find a team with a lower PPDA than us in a league game, and they do sit above Arsenal in the PPDA rankings. However, although generally lower PPDA indicates quality, it doesn't always mean that. After all, Leeds are second. To implement a quality press, you need quality players and quality instruction. Martin Ødegaard is crucial for organising Arsenal's press. Watch him in game and you'll see him constantly speaking to those around him, acting as the coach on the pitch. One of the most impressive parts of Arsenal's press is its intelligence, and Ødegaard is the orchestrator. To stay, go, hold off, move forward, there's kind of a slow creep that happens, where a team are slowly forced back by individual players moving at the right time and cutting off passing lanes. It's incredibly difficult to play through, and most teams are forced long. In fact, in the FA Cup, City went long twice as much as they normally do. Take this situation here. It would be understandable for a young team to be impatient and for Saka to want to press the defender here. Instead, he waits, curves his movement slowly, and forces the defender wide. At that point, then the intensity jumps in. Nketiah and Martinelli swarm, they're forced to try something risky, and we get it back. So if it's so good, why don't more teams do it? Well, another vital part of the pressing structure working is the defenders. One of the benefits of having such athletic, tall players at the back is that they tend to win a lot of second balls, and we have a second ball hoovering machine in Granit Xhaka. If we didn't have that, we couldn't commit so many men forward, and not having quality behind you is the reason a lot of teams can't do this kind of pressing. Arsenal don't always get it right either, and if you want to see my analysis of how certain teams have played through our press this season, you can check that out in the bonus content on Patreon, or by clicking join on the channel just here, and becoming a Different Knock member to get all sorts of benefits. Gabriel and Saliba work brilliantly as a pairing, and although their aerial numbers aren't that impressive because they simply face a lower volume of challenges, as they have so much and so many touches of the ball, both of their ball recovery and challenges lost numbers are really good. They often work in tandem to deal with opponents. one going in for the challenge and the other there to mop up the second ball and play forward. They're a key part of Arsenal's pressing function and ensure that forcing teams long actually has a benefit. Ben White plays a big part in that too. I've also been massively impressed by Arsenal's variability in their implementation of the press. Their ability to learn lessons from games and make adjustments from one week to the next is hugely encouraging. We saw one such small adjustment to the press between their away and subsequent home fixtures against Everton. Everton largely set up in a similar manner at both Goodison and the Emirates. 4-5-1 out of possession, long goal kicks up to the striker, pack the middle, force Arsenal wide, and double up on Saka and Martinelli. So why did it work so well at Goodison and not at all at the Emirates? Jordan Pickford sends almost every goal kick long, and their focus in general is route one. So if Arsenal win the second ball or the header, great, but it tends to be in our half, and we have to get it back up the pitch. Then, if we manage to play through the thirds, at Goodison we tended to find ourselves up against a well-structured defence who've had time to regroup, and the defensive distances are impenetrable. To fix it, at the Emirates, Arsenal just dialed back the height of their press ever so slightly. They remain man for man, but when Everton had the ball in their first phase, Arsenal weren't always looking to press Everton as high as they did at Goodison and make them go long. They were encouraging them to play out from the back, make mistakes, and break their structure to create open field situations and more space between and behind the lines. And Everton inevitably made mistakes. This time, when Arsenal got the turnover, they tended to be higher up the pitch. Everton had less time to find structure, and there was more space between the lines. Cracks began to form, and it broke the game open, as seen in Saka's goal. Everton then came out of their shell, and the floodgates opened. You can see that playing out in the stats as well. Arsenal's defensive line was lower at the Emirates, but crucially their PPDA stayed the same at around 7. It's about the height of the press, which encouraged Everton to play out more, not the quantity or the quality. A small adjustment, but a crucial one. Arsenal also make use of the counter press, particularly in high areas. Once they lose it, you can almost see Pep's famous 5-second rule coming into play. Arsenal quickly press high and stop the transition once the ball is turned over, then often make a foul to slow play down or win the ball back. Another huge component of this is the psychological impact. If you never get time on the ball as an opponent, it wears you down. You start to forget about attacking and just focus on your defensive shape and not giving anything away. As games go on, Arsenal's relentlessness counts, and it just takes a moment or lapse of concentration for something to give. In our last 4 games, we've scored 6 goals near the end or beginnings of halves. Understandably, and quite rightly, Arsenal's attacking verve gets the headlines and the plaudits. But good things only grow with the right environment, and Arsenal's pressing structure is another key aspect of Arsenal and Arteta's success this season. If the title does end up in North London, I said if, it may very well be down to these details. Thank you so much for watching The Different Knock. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please consider supporting us on Patreon monthly or head to buymeacoffee.com for one-time support. You can find me at OneFootball on Twitter, and we're at thedifferentknock on all social media. Also, check out our podcast. All the links are in the video description. Thanks!